All right, Michael Ketchen here for another episode of the Michael Ketchen Show with Matthew Hitchcock.
How we doing?
And I am joined by the Mr. World Famous Jon Farling of the Do More podcast. How we doing, John?
Dude, I can't be any better. Being here with you and your best friend that I just met, can't be any happier.
Well, I mean, you did get stuck in Boston to New Hampshire traffic, so welcome to the East Coast. I'm sure that wasn't great.
Well, and I don't have any water. You don't have any water for me. So
Yes,
I'm
to be
parched
fair, you are
from
parched.
sitting in the
long
car.
drive.
Worst host ever.
Listen, well, to be fair, none of us told him to go out last night, and I'm sure enjoy some adult beverages in the city while you were seeing.
No.
Oh, yeah, just took it easy.
Just hanging
huh?
out.
On a football Sunday?
Italian-
No.
Yeah.
No, actually, we didn't watch any football. Italian dinner and one cigar.
Really? All right. And
Same.
is it your first time in Boston?
Yeah,
Okay.
first and last.
A little different. First and last. To be fair, I mean, I wouldn't go back.
You don't have any fans in
And
Boston,
I live
right?
here. I have plenty of fans in Boston, but I tell them too. Actually, we got a
Okay.
bunch of guys coming tonight at the event to hear you talk from Boston. I still don't. No, if you're from here, I'm over it. I don't know how you feel. I know you go out sometimes, but
I mean, I like going to the restaurants and stuff, but yeah, we have a lot of stuff around here now at this point.
yeah, and it's a pain in the ass. It's like,
Parking,
Yeah.
yeah, just logistically, it
distance.
doesn't make any sense. Like that's why I wanted you to stay up in New Hampshire, but you didn't listen. So
You never told me that.
yeah, actually,
I had
have-
I actually had my trip planned.
Yep.
We're still recording, right?
Yeah.
I had my trip planned, and then I'd let you know. I let you know that I was coming.
Yeah, but I also told you to move it to New Hampshire.
You
It's
never
better.
said that.
I have the text messages.
No,
I
you
have the
never said
receipts, which is a perfect segue to talk about one thing that drives me up the wall about you that I love about you is you are the most stubborn, headstrong people I've ever met.
Is this a
And
therapy
I
session
feel like
or a
that's
podcast?
been a huge superpower of yours
Mm-hmm.
because to give the people a little bit of background why they should care, who Jon Farling is and what's going on. We met in a mastermind together called the 50. It's a really high level mastermind, and we kind of hit it off day one.
Lost some money.
You would love to hang out with me. I was like, this guy's okay. I'll give him a chance. But no, we had a blast. We got partnered together on the kind of like gambling segment, and we've hung out a bunch since then. But I was so excited to have you here, truly, because you are what we all talk about as entrepreneurs. We're going to intentionally design our life. We're going to have time freedom, financial freedom, on and on and on. Dude, you own a shit ton of property, right? Mostly self-storage, pretty
Also,
much.
yep.
All self-storage.
Yep.
And you design everything around your life. So it's not that your business runs your life runs your business.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about, take us through that, because Matt doesn't know the story, for example. Take Matt and all the people through that, John.
Yeah, so was working a 9-to-5 outside sales, dating back to 2008 for small family electrical contractor. Was also coaching basketball on the side. That's why I took the job. Had a lot of freedom, learned a lot of things, what to do, what not to do, and come fast forward 2013, wife got pregnant, daughter on the way, first kid, and coaching was done for me. I was like, all right, done. Scratch my itch. I'm done with coaching, and I need to find something else. So start diving into real estate investing.
Yep.
My parents growing up, they had, I guess you can kind of include 2 rentals that they had overall. They built spec homes, I think probably 20 some. So real estate's kind of been in my blood.
So you were around the industry a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's always been in my blood. I mean, growing up, we moved every 2 years. Build a house.
For the tax reasons?
Oh yeah, build a house, make probably 6 figures, move.
Yep.
So
So your father is a hustler.
Repeat. Yeah, for
Love
sure.
this guy. Shout out to Mr. Farling. We'll
yeah.
meet him one day.
So, yeah, it was always in my blood. So that was kind of just what I went back to. Once coaching basketball was done, Bigger Pockets podcast was one of the biggest things that really
Same thing.
drove that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
In fact, dudes I'm with in Boston right now, we were talking, there's 3 of us total last night. We all said the same thing. Yeah, around 2013, 14, 15, we all hopped on Bigger Pockets podcast. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how many lives were affected.
Dude, if we're going to, and I'll go on a little side rant about that real quick, because I don't think it gets talked about enough. And I actually heard your episode with Brandon.
Yeah.
You guys brought that up. And I'm thinking about us, you're thinking about these guys. And it's like, think about catching lightning in a bottle with like social media and the internet taking off and how much technology has made this whole space so much more accessible. And they just package it up. They've unfortunately fucking ruined it now, but that's a whole separate
Yeah.
issue.
Well,
Go broke.
They
but-
lost the lightning, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they did. They did. Well,
lost the
they also
lightning.
got, PE a bunch of times, so
Yeah.
that'll do that to you.
Yep.
Waiting for PE to come in for the Michael Ketchen show. That'd be great.
No.
No, you don't think so?
No.
I don't think it's gonna go that way. We're not
No,
that
it's
demographic.
not going to go that
Not
way.
gonna go that way. So, all right. So, staying back with your story that I rudely interrupted. Right.
No. So, yeah, 2014, I'll fast forward a little bit. Started looking at single family rentals and took one down per year for the next 4 years. Did a flip in there and realized pretty quickly, like, I can leave my 9 to 5, and this is a vehicle to do it. But I knew that I couldn't scale doing that. So I was using my own money. The first rental, I did everything. I think it took 6 months rehab.
Remember back to the stubborn part. The story actually doesn't surprise me that you.
Yeah. Well,
go on, please.
I think there's good and bad to that, right? Like you can't scale doing that,
Yeah.
right? I if I was still working on them, can't scale. But I also learned everything from A to Z, right? I learned what I should look for in a contractor, what they're doing. I learned how to find good tenants, how to keep good tenants. I learned everything. So I think there's some value in that. But yeah, you can't stay on pace with that.
No way.
So yeah, wanted to scale, wanted to leave, finally figured out like, yeah, I'm leaving my 9 to 5. It's happening. And my goal was before 40 or by 40 years old. I think I left at 38. But yeah, I pivoted, started looking at commercial, looking at apartments, looking at businesses to buy. Was looking at car washes, and that's how I stumbled on self-storage, and yeah, started buying self-storage in 2019.
What made you decide to pivot? Like,
Scale.
just the scaling portion of it?
Yeah. Okay. And it's funny because looking back, well, even single family rentals, when I started looking in 13, if I bought everything that I looked at,
Yeah.
I mean, they all went up double, probably 3x.
Yeah.
But nothing worked at the time, right? Rents were still lower. Same with apartments. Rents were low and just didn't make sense. But yeah, stumbled upon self-storage and also Mike Wagner, who kind of taught me the ins and outs.
Who's Mike Wagner? Give us some context.
He is he's pivoted a little bit, but he's got a self-storage education platform.
Okay, so you kind of got a coaching education piece early on.
Yeah, it was more of probably mentorship because he didn't have a program at the time. He did do one-on-one coaching, but I just needed give me a little bit and let me run with it. I want to figure it out. I want to stumble, make my way through it. So yeah, it was the biggest thing there was not just self-storage, but in smaller markets. So when I first started looking, I was looking in bigger markets. I'm from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. I was looking in Columbus. I'm like, nothing works. How am I going to buy anything? And that's when the fork in the road with Mike Wagner, he was like, I buy everything that's more rural,
So
smaller
he told
towns.
you about this strategy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm in towns with, I think it's between 12,000 and 50,000 people.
Okay.
So easy barrier of entry. So I found most of my deals through direct mail marketing. They were just happy that someone wanted their property, right?
Yep.
They were like, I've been trying to get out of this thing for years. I'm glad you showed up at my door. I'm ready to sell today. So and lightning in a bottle, I couldn't do that now.
Yeah.
Right? They've been picked over. I hit lightning in the bottle at the right time.
Well, that was kind of one of the things, jumping ahead a bit, but that's because I think it kind of mirrors our career a little bit in the sense we started where the building you're in right now in Manchester. When we bought this, we bought it from a guy who was charging $600 a month in rent, and we were getting 1,000 pretty quick, and we were able to kind of ride the wave up on New Hampshire. But now the cat's really out of the bag. I mean, now that we have studios in some of these buildings that we're getting $1,500 a month for. I mean, it's insane. They're 300 square foot studios. It makes no sense.
Yep.
That's the market. Do you think storage still a viable? I mean, there's always going to be deals, but someone starting out, would you say go into storage, or do you think there's better opportunities now? What do you think?
There's always opportunity in anything, right? Yeah. And you've got to be in the game, taking action consistently to find lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Right? Like we can go back to Bigger Pockets. If they wouldn't have tried it and started it, and it still took a few years to really take off, but you've got to be in the game doing it for something to happen. Storage as an asset class has definitely grown up, and I'm not making this up. I heard this from someone else, but it's kind of in.
I'm not making this up, but I can't fact check it either. Go on.
Yeah. That's a little made up. As an asset class, it was kind of in its early teenage years, 2020.
Yep.
Well, probably before that, 2018, 19.
Before the sweaty startup and the Nick Hubers of the world.
Who?
Nick Huber, the sweaty startup guy who's always on there with his bolt storage deals.
So Yeah, we don't even get into that. So, like 2020, COVID, after COVID, like 6 months, probably towards end of 2021, stores just took off and out of its infancy, out of its teenage years. And it's like any other asset class now. There's still deals out there. They're just harder to find. You're not stumbling upon deals that are 3x the value in 6 months. Right? It's harder to find.
I mean, we see bluebird storage is going up everywhere in New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's
Development.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're popping them up in towns that, and that's actually a good question for someone because we don't really want to get to the nitty gritty high level, but I know one big metric for storage is kind of like it's like foot traffic and
Square foot per capita.
Yeah.
And we can get in as far as you want into it. I don't look at it.
Yeah.
So
like, what are your metrics? Like, what do you use to identify a deal?
Well, I'll explain that since you brought it up. Square foot per capita is the national average is 7 or 8. So basically, each one of us rents 7 to 8 square feet of storage.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's the national average. I'm in towns that's like 30 plus. So that's each person in town's renting basically 30
so people
square
with
feet
more
of storage.
junk that they don't need with nowhere to put it.
Yeah. Yep. Every market's different. Florida doesn't have basements, right?
True. Yeah.
That's a really good point. I never thought of that.
What's weird for me is I'm in some of these rural towns that there's nothing but land, right? Even though there's 12,000 people in town, there's still people that have acres on acres and have storage units. It's like, what are you doing? I don't get it. But it's a sticky thing. People, they're like, I'll be there for 2 months, and then I'll move my stuff out. 20 years later, they're still there, right? So
it's so wild because again, one thing we've benefited from a little bit on the multifamily side, that I think we learned early on. I think it's a thing to harness. I think it's social media. I think it's everything, and you just hit on it. There's consumers and there's producers, and MJ DeMarco talks a lot about this in The Millionaire Fastlane. I recommend the book to everybody all the time because I had never heard it framed. I think inherently I knew it, but I never heard it framed this way before his book. You get rewarded handsomely in this economy, in this country, if you're a producer. Because convenience consumers are everything. It's the reason we've gone to such a subscription-based model in our economy. It's the reason that things like car leases work, which are just insane to even think about. And it's this right here. It's people that, well, I'm gonna buy this thing. I'm not gonna have it. I'm gonna have clutter, but I'll build a shed or I'll get a garage. I'll get rid of it. And 20 years later, it's on auto pay. Like I think auto pay is the greatest thing in the world.
Yep.
If you own a business that can take auto pay.
Yep. It's like Planet Fitness, $10 a month. You're not 100%. Paying anything. You just...
So that leads to the next question because we're big on operations, and I know that's kind of your nitty gritty too. You've done something unique, and I'll come back to the capital, but I think it's your operations that have allowed you to scale in these rural markets. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, and I think it's not talked about, right? Like the gurus or wherever you're learning real estate investing, they don't talk operations.
Yeah.
They're talking about trying to find your deal, right? And raising money.
Yep.
Both important, but what happens after that?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you and for me, I'm holding on for cash flow, right? I'm not buying and turning and churning. That's not what I'm doing. I'm buying for cash flow. At some point I'm sure I'll sell, but right now I'm living off the cash flow.
Yep.
So,
and that's like I tell you all the time, you make your money on the buy, but you can lose it on the execution.
100%.
And it doesn't get talked about. It gets, to your point, nowhere near enough.
Skipped over, yeah.
Well, 100%. I mean, think about it, right? One of the reasons we manage in-house, and trust me, there are days you wake up and you're like, I don't want to, like, employees, headaches, things you don't want to deal with. But our alignment is just so much better. We can pivot. And like, we're going through like 4 refis right now. We know how to dial that in because we're controlling it. I was thinking about it today with all the things we got going on. I'm like, man, imagine if I had a call with a company where they're not my employees. I'm not their biggest priority. And I'm trying to tell them I need these things. It's time sensitive.
Yep.
I mean, you're gonna get kicked down the road. And I mean, again, it doesn't mean it can't happen, but to your point, it's like it allows for those things to go in there. So, what are some of the inefficiencies you attack in your asset class? Just any couple.
As far as like value add or
value add, like so it's like when you're looking at an opportunity, right? So Matt knows nothing about self storage. He's gonna go in New Hampshire and go buy one from a rural guy. What are a couple low hanging pieces of advice you give somebody?
The easiest thing is underpriced. So if someone's renting a 10 by 10, the facility you're looking at renting a 10 by 10 for $60 and the market's 90, instantly It's $30 just for 10
Are
by
you
10.
getting that like on a CoStar? Like where are you getting that data?
Yeah.
I do my own work, my own homework.
Oh, like you'll do like a market survey and
Yeah.
compare
You
the
Just
comps.
like a Google search. And
Yeah,
just
Google
set up
search,
an
go to their
Excel or something like
websites.
that, and
So
just list everything.
Yep.
It's just like multifamily. It's
Yeah.
like literally pulling it in. It's kind of
Yeah.
we talked before. I know that's why the operation is wild.
Yep.
Yeah, we were trying to explain to the acquisitions guy we have right now that same thing. He's like, "Well, I got a CoStar report." I'm like, "I don't care about your CoStar report.
Yeah, I don't.
I want your spreadsheet with how many square feet,
Yep.
what are they getting, what amenities, what you used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
We need to know the
Yep.
nitty gritty.
Yep. Well, and for me, it's not CoStar. It's well, for storage, it's more Radius Plus
Okay.
and Store Track. Good information, but I always double check their information. And they don't
You
for
have to, yeah.
especially for the towns that I'm looking in. They don't have all the facilities,
Yeah,
and not all of them have websites. So I'll call sometimes too and check that stuff.
cold
But
call.
yeah, you're not finding that stuff in software.
So you're calling these nice old people, checking their prices,
They're not
and stealing
answering.
their property.
Yeah, they're not answering. No, there's an opportunity too. Like, hey, you want to sell?
Yeah. Or if they're
So-
not answering the phone, now you know they're doing that for everybody, right? Losing opportunity.
Yep.
Find those inefficiencies. Okay, so that leads to the big question I wanted to get into because you have a very unique take on this. You're all self-funded. You
Yep.
haven't raised money.
Yep.
Give me your thoughts and your feelings on that. What's the reason for that?
What's your thoughts and feelings on that?
You
I feel
first.
like you have
This
very
is
strong
my
thoughts.
show. This is my show. It's not your show. I did your show. This is my show. You're gonna answer that question.
Yeah. So you got to do what you feel. And actually, guys that I'm in Boston with for a couple days, we were talking about this last night. Is you got to find your path. What works for you, right? For me, I was able to snowball. I started a decade ago with single family rentals. I sold those off, right? Most of them doubled in value. So I had capital there. I liquidated my 401k.
So you went all in.
Yeah. Savings from my sales job. I went all in and have snowballed. And since, and while I'm thinking about Logan Rankin is an awesome dude
Yeah,
to follow.
I follow him online and
A
can't recommend him enough.
Yeah, and I've like obviously he does multifamily, but I relate to a lot of what he talks about because we have similar. He talks operations for one, heavily, and he talks about how he does not raise money.
Yep.
And if you're buying value add deals, I've got capital, I've got equity in these deals that if I need money, I just refi, cash out refi, get some money out. But yeah, I think it's safer and I can get in tighter deals.
Okay. What do you mean by getting tighter deals?
So I'm not 100% financed. I'm using my own cash for equity injection with the down payment. So even if my numbers are wrong, right, when I'm doing the underwriting and I'm thinking it's going to be worth, well, just easy numbers, buying it for $1 million, I'm thinking it's going to be worth 1.5 in a year.
Yep.
Maybe it's not. Maybe like interest rates go up and now cap rates are different. Maybe it's only worth 1.2 or who knows, whatever. I still have, since I put 25% down, I still have equity in there to where I can get out not at a loss.
Got it. So you like the flexibility and not
Yeah.
having to make another investor whole or something like that.
Yeah. Also, I don't have to answer anybody.
Okay.
I'm answering to myself.
Yeah, that is definitely a piece of it, and I've heard Logan talk about it. And that's kind of how we started. We still dual strategy now, so we buy a lot of stuff. I mean, this year we've bought a 72 unit by ourselves. We've bought a 14 unit by ourselves. We're syndicating friends and family. I think the journey's a little different, but again, even our promote, but because we fight in the back of our head that debt and equity relationship.
Yep.
And I don't want to get super high level, but I don't think people in this space understand the difference between debt and equity enough. I really don't.
No, not at all.
I mean, we're closing a super unique deal tomorrow. The 100% zero, literally zero out of. We're 100% debt.
Yeah.
So we got a first position lender, then we got a second person who did a promissory note,
Yeah.
and now we have to perform, we have to execute,
Yep.
but it's all debt, it's all us. So the upside, I think, what we say, cash flow day one, it's like 20 grand a month or something. It's
Yeah.
crazy, it's insane. It's a wild deal. It's like a sober home thing. It's just out there. But
Yeah.
we underwrote like a multifamily did our thing. But yeah, to your point, I always like that because it allows you the flexibility. It allows you to kind of move in your space the way you want. I never thought about that other points you just said, where if you've got to leave something in for a little bit, you're a cash flow investor, so you don't have to burn it out right away because you don't have that ticking time bomb.
Yep.
You don't have to pay that back.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Because that's
There's pros and cons, right? I can only scale so fast. I've thought about raising money, but anytime I find, so right now I'm just buying in Ohio, and I'm kind of going at my own speed.
Are you
when
gonna
I
stay in
find-
Ohio?
I'm open to other areas, but it's so, I mean, you know, the more you know about a market, everything's easier.
100%.
Everything's easier, right? And I can get into tighter deals. Like I've done some tighter deals because I know the market. Especially when you have facilities in that market. It's like I know what they can rent for. I know the demand.
Yeah, you've got the best comp and the best data in hand.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Where can people get a hold of you? Where can they learn more? Because I know you got to get
is
the
this it?
podcast.
This is the end of the show?
We're rolling through it. Don't rush my show here, please.
Well, I didn't see your questions over
The
there.
second time, all right, I'm asking. The Do More podcast, which I had the pleasure of being a guest on. Matt,
Yeah.
maybe he'll ask you after this now because the way the bromance that I walked into in here, I don't know if you two are hitting it off, talking jazz or junk with this guy. But the Do More podcast, talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's you know, you came on. It's mostly real estate investors. It's
Mostly. Who's been on that's not a real estate investor?
We had a life insurance guy.
Oh, you do whole life, dude.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. How was your
We
experience
looked
with whole
into
life?
that a
'Cause
couple times, but
we could not.
never.
I'd still
pulled
can't make
the
the numbers
trigger on
work.
it.
Have you actually had success with it?
I'm still talking about my podcast.
Okay, we jump. Hey, we jump around a lot here. All right, it's like being on the phone with me. You've been on the phone with me before.
I know.
It's going all
I'm
over.
trying to get you back on track here. I saw your list of questions.
We
I'm
don't
trying
need
to stay
a
on track here.
formatted show, okay? You save that formatted shit over there, okay?
Yeah, Do More podcast, man. Check it out.
We will check it out. We'll link to it.
Yeah, it's mostly storage, but real estate investors, entrepreneurs,
Are the guys you're out
and
here with?
anything wrapped around that too.
The guys you're out here with now, they storage guys.
Yeah, but no. Flex, industrial.
You guys in Boston for an event?
Fix and flex. No, just hanging,
Just came to hang out.
and we're talking shop, right? Like it's
And you
organic.
chose Boston of all the places.
I didn't.
I'm gonna question
I
the
told you
decision
that. That was the
making.
beginning of the show. I
I
told
don't
you
think I'm gonna
I
meet
did
these
not
two
pick it.
guys. I don't know if they're that shocked.
You'll meet most of them in Charleston because
Great.
you're going to come
I
to.
gotta hang out with guys who make poor decisions. I paid you money to hang out with guys who make poor decisions.
live
This is
here.
terrible.
You live
Yeah,
in
look,
this
In New
area.
Hampshire, in Freedom.
It's very different.
We walked the Freedom Trail today.
Going through like the history.
Saw Paul Revere's house. It's awesome. I'm still pumped by that.
Yeah, you got to do that when you come.
Yeah.
to
So would you, gun to your head, would you do the whole life thing? Do you like it? Yes or no?
I've got a very small policy. I think.
Have you
and
used
we
it
were
to buy
talking
real
about that
estate yet?
today. What's that?
Have you used it to buy real estate yet?
Nah, I don't have enough in there. I think if you've got $1 million plus, pop it in there, or build it up to that, whatever, and then I mean, you can do less than that, but I don't think you can do anything with less than 6 figures to where it's
To loan against it,
impactful.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kept trying to. At one point, we're like, what if we funnel everything through it?
We were trying a bunch of different things. Yeah, it just
just-
wasn't. It wasn't.
You got to get
mapping
with the
out,
right guy
panning out.
too.
Yeah.
That's
We got
selling
like
it because there's a lot of
Didn't
scams
we do like
out
3
there.
different companies we
Talked
had?
to so many companies.
I've-
And we finally
I've
got on the
got
phone. The
one.
CEO one out of Boston was like, "You can't do what you guys want to do." I was like, "Thank you. That's all we wanted to hear."
Yeah, he was honest, which
We've
was good.
been, your salesmen were not honest.
Yeah,
and we
they were
kept
like,
saying,
I think we
my
can kind of
CPA,
figure
my
it
attorney,
out.
are telling me that your guys are wrong, and the CEO was like, "You can't do that." So,
Huh.
if you got a guy though, get us connected.
Yeah. He was on the show. It's good. I haven't done it. I haven't used it, but it's powerful. If you want to build generational wealth, it's so powerful.
So, Mister, I don't want to scale. I don't want to do anything else yet. I'm all over social media.
Who says I'm not scaling?
Well, you literally told me to start when I first met you. You were not scaling right now. You said you're slowing down.
That's not true. And every
That is-
time we
that
talk
is
and
what
you
you
bring
said.
that up, I'm like,
'Cause
I
that is
never
what you
said I don't
remember
want
what
to
you said.
scale.
All right.
I'm consistently scaling at my
So
speed.
are you buying right now? You're actively buying.
Actively looking, yeah.
Actively looking.
I bought, last one I bought was last February. This past February.
It's been over a year, so I mean, I
not
don't
a
know why
year.
you're going so slow.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not easy. Like, how many storage units are out there? Like companies or small mom and pops
Less.
or
Yeah, it's out of asset classes, it's probably the least amount of, properties in that asset class. So there's less out there.
do you do cold calls or like mailers or
Mailers.
Yeah.
You still having success with the mailers?
Yeah, and like you guys know, the more you're in it, the more you're talking about it, it's amazing how many opportunities pop up just out of nowhere.
I remember when we first got started. I don't know if you're the same way. I was like, oh my god, can I get another deal? We got one, and I'm like, and then one rolled into 2. But then we took that year on mechanic shoot. We didn't really buy for a year.
Yeah.
because that was such a nightmare. And I was like, man, we'll ever find deals now? And it sounds like things just come to you.
Yeah.
Like I haven't thought about deal flow and you don't even think about it.
crippled by opportunity?
Yeah, that's but yeah, when you get inside, I remember
Gary Vee.
thinking, I'm like, oh my god, like, will we ever get to a point like we're making $100K a year? Like, off real estate. I remember like my brain, I couldn't even wrap
Yep.
my brain
Yeah.
around that. On that note, brain's going everywhere. We are going to get out of here because we have a great dinner, but I want to know, where can people get a hold of you?
Facebook, Jon Farling. Instagram, Do More Podcast.
The Do More Podcast?
Yeah.
What's
check
your
it out.
Instagram? Do you know it?
Instagram?
Because it ain't Jon Farling.
J Farling Investing, I think.
That's the one. I'm going to tag you on there. I want to make sure you know it.
Yeah, tag me.
I can't thank you enough
Hold
for
up.
being here, brother.
Appreciate it, man. It's been awesome.
I got to hang out with the world famous celebrity, Matt.
I know.
Most famous guy I know.
I like
have
that
some-
box over there. That's probably coming with me.
You know what? Friend of the show, we will get you a custom can. You don't
Mail
have to
it.
pay for it. But
What?
Brian Hemming, shout out FitFo Custom Cans. We'll take care of you. We'll get you one on there.
It's awesome, man.
As always, bet on yourself.